So we have understood about the syntax and also motivation for typecasting. And let's now try to dive deeper into the typecasting, namely, what kind of cast can we do in order to be valid, i.e., what kind of cast compiles. Let's now take a look. So let's now go over some abstract principle on the slide, and I'll give you a concrete example and try to visualize it. So given the variable v of static type v, you can see v here is the subscript, meaning that it's static type. It will be compilable, will be valid to cast v to c, some cast type within the round parenthesis, as long as c is either an ancestor or descendant class of the static type. So that's an easy principle. But you can see either we can go upwards along the type hierarchy to cast into some ancestor class, or we could go downwards along the type hierarchy diagram to actually cast into some descendant classes. Either way we can do. Okay, let's see what the consequence is, and then we'll give you one example. And without a cast, so whatever expectation for v will just be determined by its static type. So that's something we already said. Whatever static type you have for a variable, it will simply determine the expectation for that variable. And now we can actually choose to either cast the variable either to some ancestor or to a descendant. And again, let's emphasize, you don't create any new objects by doing a cast. You only create an alias of the cast type. Okay. And so all the methods that, once you cast into C, which can either be ancestor or descendants, you will be able to call some maybe either additional or fewer methods or attributes on that particular cast objects. Let's now see one example right away. Okay. So here we consider three reference variables. We got my phone, we got SP, we got GA. They are declared with the respective static types over here. And on the right hand side, for the first one, we simply use some proposed dynamic type, and you can definitely judge whether or not it's valid. And we are using a cast over here. We are also using a cast over here. Right? We want to see exactly what's going to be the consequence of casting a variable either upwards or downwards to its ancestor class or descendant class. Let's see. Let's start with my phone over here. So you can see my phone over here is of static type Android over here. Let's now highlight it. The Android is over here in the type hierarchy. Okay, let me just mention that. So this is the static type of my phone. And you definitely can argue very quickly whether or not this substitution over here would be valid. Can we substitute Galaxy S21 Plus, which is over here? Oh, sorry, which is over here. Can this fulfill Android? The answer is yes, because this is a descending class of this. Okay, so that's something I don't need to write it up, but it's something just to remind you. Let's look at two different casts. The first one I'm going to highlight maybe in blue over here. The first one. So here you can see I'm trying to cast my phone over here. Let's just remind you again. My phone, the variable over here, has the static type Android. Oh, you know what? Before I do go any further, in terms of the expectation on my phone, you can see my phone is exactly over here, right? What can we expect on my phone? My phone is actually Android over here. So what will be the expectation? It will be the new method Skype over here plus all the inherited methods and attributes from its ancestor along the ancestor path. In this case, it will be dial and also surf web, right? So it will be dial, surf web, and also Skype. So these are the three. And all the others will be specific to other branches, right? SiteSync, for example, will be specific to its descendants, which is not part of its expectation. And also FaceTime belong to another branch over here, right? So that's why it's not included. And also similar to QuickTake, it's not there. And also Zoomage also is not there. Okay. Hopefully you're okay with this column of the table. Okay, let me continue. Let's go back to this particular typecast over here. The static type for the variable that we want to cast is Android over here. And we are now doing a so-called upward cast to one of its ancestor. In this case, ancestor of Android can either be itself or it can be the smartphone over here. We are following the instance path up to the hierarchy, up to the root of the hierarchy. So over here, let's now see, let me color that. You can see smartphone over here is one thing that we can cast into, right? So this is so-called upward cast. So along this way over here, this is so-called an upward cast. And what's the consequence of doing an upward cast? If we try to do an upward cast into smartphone, for example, and only this expression alone, according to the anatomy that we studied before, this one over here, right? Be careful. This one over here is referring to just my phone. And the box that let me use a slightly different blue, maybe a dark blue. And this part over here is actually referring to the cast expression over here. So this part over here has the static type smartphone. Okay, so that is why we can actually substitute smartphone for SP, which is statically smartphone, right? You can see everything is kind of connected in a logical way. And if we try to do upward casting, are we trying to widen or, okay, let me put it another way. Are we trying to make the expectation wider or narrower? Which way? What if we are trying to do upward cast? Apparently, let's see what the consequence is. If you try to see the, here we talk about SP, right? SP will be the eventual alias that we want to manipulate over here, SP. What will be the expectation for SP? Okay, SP statically would just be smartphone. So smartphone is only going to support dial and also surf web, right? That's the only two over here, and nothing else. So that's why everything else is going to be cross. So by upward casting from Android to smartphone, right? By upward casting from Android to smartphone, we have decreased the expectation by 1. So Skype is not supported anymore, right? Specifically, you can see here. So if you try here, SP dot, let me just try to do this over here. Let me highlight it specifically. You can see this one over here is unavailable, but this one over here is actually available, right? Meaning that if I try over here, if I say my phone dot Skype, so this is actually okay. On the other hand, if I try SP dot Skype, this will not be okay, right? It's a very important comparison for you to see. All right, so that's about upward casting. Whenever you do upward casting over here by casting into an ancestor class, you're basically creating an alias whose expectation will be lower, will be narrower, will be like a less expectation. Okay, let me write it down. So it will be less expectation or narrower. Narrower expectation. All right, let me highlight it. Upward casting is going to result in narrower expectation. Okay, let's now go for the other direction. What about this one over here? And let me use the pink over here. What about this one here? So we still got my phone over here. So my phone, you can see this part over here still got the static type Android. Never changes for its static type. Okay, so we are still here. And then we are trying to do the so-called downward casting. So what we're doing is, let me see this. So we are basically trying to do this cast expression over here. Over here, what's the type for this type? For this cast expression. This part over here, the cast type is Galaxy S21 Plus. So the static type of this expression will just become the entire thing. The entire thing will just become has the static type Galaxy S21 Plus, simply matching the cast type over here. Okay, so now we're doing some downward casting. So we are doing this way. Galaxy S21 Plus. So that's what we're doing, right? We're doing this way. for the downward casting. Okay, so that's called downward casting. Downward cast. Okay, we'll talk about the consequence in just a moment. Let's fill in the table. Okay, so we are doing downward casting, which is also valid. You can either do upward or downward. Both are actually valid, compilable. Okay, and the expression over here has the static type matching the cast type, which is Galaxy S21 Plus. Can Galaxy S21 Plus fulfill the static type over here? Indeed, yes, because it's its own descending class. So what will be the expectation for GA over here? And GA is actually here, Galaxy S21 Plus. So let me just highlight it. So this is the downward cast type that we have over here, right? So what will be its expectation? It's going to be everything that it accumulates along with its ancestor path over here. So this will be its ancestor path, which will accumulate dial, surf web, and Skype, side sync, and that's it, right? So what we can have is, so let's say we definitely got dial, we got surf web, and also we got Skype, and also we got side sync. And do we have FaceTime? We don't, because FaceTime is actually over here. It's the other branch. Do we have QuickTake? No, because QuickTake is actually also from another branch. Also, we don't have Zoomage. So all the other three will still be not here. Okay. So now let's do some comparison over here. You can see here we will have this one here and also this one over here. Right? Let's now try to see. And from before, we actually got my phone dot Skype. This will be okay. What if we try my phone dot site sync? Okay, let's now take a look. My phone over here dot site sync. Statically Android. Does Android support side sync? No, it does not. It's only supported down to its descendants. So this will be invalid. Okay, so this is not good. So now let's take a look at the other one. Okay, what about we try GA over here? And if we try to say GA, so GA over here, let's say GA dot Skype, and also GA dot site sync. Are they okay? Both of them will be valid because you can see GA statically is Galaxy S21 Plus over here. So that will definitely support site sync and also Skype for sure. So both of them will be valid. Okay, so that's really what I meant by comparing in detail about the expectation. Right, you really want to be careful about the static type for the context objects over here. So let me just do it again. So here you got my phone over here. So that's let me just matching the color over here. So this is my phone. Static type is simply just Android. And also I got the GA over here, whose static type is Galaxy S21 Plus. And also I got finally the SP static type is simply smartphone over here, right? And let me also highlight my phone over here. All right, so now you actually got complete comparison. Let me also swap the order of these comparison very quickly. So you will see what I'm doing when you refer to the notes. It's more organized if I swapped it sorted this way. SP followed by the two expectation usages for my phone. Okay, I think that'll be better. All right. Okay, so that's about how you can do upward casting versus downward casting. Quick recap visually. Given some static type for some variable, you can either do upward casting, which will result in narrower expectation, or you can do downward casting to any of its descending classes, which will include itself or any of the descending classes. And in this example over here, if you do downward casting, you're going to get, oh, I forgot to fill it in. It will be actually wider expectation. Wider expectation. So there is a written notes which I summarize all the rules, so you can also refer to. I'll refer to the link a little bit later, okay, when I finish the entire topic for typecasting. So wider expectation. All right, let's now go back to the slides, and that's something I have already illustrated in detail, but you can also refer to the slides for a more concise summary. But of course, I think for detailed illustration, you still want to refer to the iPad notes and also recording. All right, let's now move on to the next topic.